A very good evening to our dear viewers of MRI TV. I'm Nayiga Brenda to give you the headlines. If you want to join MRI TV, find us on Twitter, Instagram, and subscribe on YouTube as MRI TV Kakeka. Let's get the headlines. Zimbabwe receives first bunch of Sinopharm vaccine. China arrests leaders of fake vaccine. NATO will leave Afghanistan when time is right. Saudi woman handed death sentence for killing a Bangladeshi maid. Texas freeze leaves millions in the northern Mexico without power. Winter storm tightens grip in the southern states. In China, the leader of multi-million-dollar scam that passed off saline solution and mineral water as a COVID-19 vaccine has been arrested. Let's get the story in details.
The man, identified as Kong, has researched the packaging designs of real vaccines before making more than 508,000 of his own concoctions. A bunch of vaccines were smuggled overseas, but it is not known where they were sent to. Kong is among 70 people who have been arrested for similar crimes. The arrests, involving more than 20 cases, came as Beijing vowed to crack down on fraudulent vaccines. Even though most of the cases surfaced last year, new details were released this week. According to a court ruling, Kong and his team made a profit of 18 yuan by putting saline solution and mineral water in syringes, hawking them as COVID-19 vaccines since August last year. Officials had hoped to administer 100 million COVID doses before the Lunar New Year last week, but have only vaccinated 40 million people so far. However, the country has largely managed to bring the pandemic under control with strict lockdown, testing and tracing measures. By Nansley Millie, MRI.
In Zimbabwe, China donates 200,000 vaccine. The donation is one of China's first shipment of vaccine in Africa after deliveries to Egypt and Equatorial Guinea. Let's get the story in details. Zimbabwe has received its first 200,000 vaccine, a donation by Chinese government. Vice President and Health Minister Constantino Chiwang was at the Robert Mugabe International Airport in the capital, Harare, in the early hours of Monday for the arrival of the doses of the Sinopharm vaccine from China. The donation is one of China's first shipment of vaccine to Africa after deliveries to Egypt and Equatorial Guinea. President Emerson Mnangagwa's government has purchased an additional 600,000 Sinopharm vaccine doses that expected to arrive early next month, according to state media. The first doses will undergo routine checks by the local Medicines Control Authority before administered this week. Health professionals and immigration agents working at border posts will get first priorities for the jabs, according to the government rollout plans. If Zimbabwe begins immunization next week, it will be the first in the southern region to do so. Its better off neighbor, South Africa, an economic powerhouse, is yet to begin inoculation after putting its own campaign on hold. As of Sunday, Zimbabwe had recorded 35,172 confirmed cases of COVID-19, including 104 related deaths. Nayiga Brenda for MRI TV. In Texas, freezing weather left almost 5 million people in the northern Mexico without power early on Monday. Let's get the story in details.
Freezing weather in Texas led to a chain of events that left almost 5 million customers in northern Mexico without power on Monday, as a shortage of natural gas disrupted electricity production. Mexico's government-owned utility, the Federal Electric Commission, said its operations were left short as the winter storm in Texas froze natural gas pipelines. It is said some private power plants also began shutting down on Sunday night. Private plants supply 8% of power in northern Mexico. The tweet said U.S. electricity demand also rose, temperature plunged across the border, leading to much higher prices. It is said gas had risen from about $3 million in recent days. The tweet director of fuel purchasing, Royce, suggested that what happened in Texas was a perfect storm of factors, that chopped off imports of gas that Mexico uses to run many of its power plants. Christine Nabaseruka, MRI TV.
In Afghanistan, NATO will not withdraw its troops before the time is right. Let's get the story in details.
Stoltenberg's remarks came on Monday, days before the defense minister of the 13 NATO member states discussed the development on Wednesday and Thursday. The meeting is their highest-level talks since U.S. President Joe Biden took office, promising to work closely with allies after 4 years of tension under Donald Trump, who struck a deal with the Taliban to withdraw U.S. troops in May. But the development's future hangs on whether Biden agrees to stick to the deadline or risks a bloody backlash from the armed fighters by staying put, But the development's future hangs on whether Biden agrees to stick to the deadline because his administration says it is reviewing the deal, where the Pentagon has accused the Taliban of not fulfilling promises that include reducing attacks and cutting ties of armed groups like Al-Qaeda, which makes the U.S. lawmakers state that the withdrawal of all U.S. troops from Afghanistan could lead to a civil war. This is Nayiga for MRI TV.
Saudi Arabia criminal court has handed death sentence to Saudi woman for killing her Bangladeshi maid. Let's get the story in details.
A criminal court in Saudi Arabia has handed the death sentence to a Saudi woman for killing her Bangladesh maid, Abron Begum. Abron Begum, a 40-year-old domestic worker, was found dead in March 2019 after being beaten to death by her employers. Begum's family said that her body was unrecognizable when it was brought back to Bangladesh. It also said that she complained that her employer poured hot water on her and pushed her face against a metal grill as a form of punishment. During a hearing in January, Begum's family had requested the death penalty for Jizan instead of financial compensation. The criminal court, however, found Ayesh al-Jizan guilty and was sentenced to death on Sunday. It also found Jizan's husband Bassem Salim guilty of tampering with a crime scene, sending Begum to work for other people and not paying her medical care. He was given a 38-month prison sentence, whereas Walid Bassem Salim, Jizan's son, was given a 7-month sentence inside a juvenile detention facility. Nayiga, MRI TV.
In US, at least 11 deaths have storm warnings on the widespread storms in the Tennessee, Texas, and Kentucky. Let's get the story in details.
USA is well known as a state that experiences 4 seasons including spring, summer, autumn, and winter. Summer that usually occurs around June to August, fall that occurs around September to November, winter that occurs around December to February, and spring that occurs around March to May. However, currently, USA is experiencing winter that has caused the storm, which has brought deadly freezing winds, ice, and snow to many regions that rarely see such frigid conditions, such as in Texas, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Louisiana. In Texas, a surge in demand for electricity has led to widespread power cuts. The state is bracing for another icy storm later on Tuesday. The National Weather Service said more than 150 million Americans were now under winter storm warnings. At least 11 deaths have been blamed on the widespread storm in Tennessee, Texas, Kentucky, and Louisiana. In Texas, U.S. President Joe Biden has proved a state of emergency, which has seen some of its coldest temperatures in more than 30 years. Some areas hit 0 degrees Fahrenheit to negative 18 degrees Celsius on Sunday. News read to you by Susan Nachibuka for MRI TV.
I'll be Nayiga Brenda giving you the headlines. Thank you for watching, liking, and subscribing.